Hey, and we added GHH Sessions, cranking up season 2. And I got a special guest here, Atum, Melanated and Illuminated. And he does a lot of stuff, so I'll let him, I don't want to leave anything out. So introduce yourself to the people, brother.
Hey, man, peace and blessings, family. It's your brother Atum, representing Melanated and Illuminated, Dark Light Studios, Action One Media, the Blacklist Association, Melanated Men of Action, and a whole variety of other things, man. But hey, I'm just blessed and I'm honored to be here, brother.
Nah, most definitely. Most definitely. Last time we did it on your platform. Hey, good to have you here. One of the few brothers, man, and one of our long-term visions with GHH is to ultimately bring debate back to the culture, because it's almost like people have lost the ability to have like discourse from opposite angles. And like, you don't have to be an idiot for you to have a different position from me.
For sure.
And I like the way that when you have a point, you stand on it, and at the same time, you do it in a way that, hey, this is how I feel, and I can appreciate that. So
for sure. Well, man, I learned that if you really want to make your point, you have to filter out some of the other things that may throw people off from your main point. Because if you notice with a lot of debates, people end up arguing about not really what they started arguing about. Because we could be debating the topic, but then the minute I get disrespectful, then we all going over something else, and nobody wins.
Hey, I got 2 new rules, man. One issue at a time. So that's my whole.
Hey, you did say that. You did say that. Piece of that.
One issue at a time. Yeah. And another thing I've been working on, just avoiding triggers, is I don't even use the word disagree anymore. I just tell people, like, here's where I see it differently. Please. So, hey, now that we can touch gloves, you know what I'm saying?
Let's get it.
Get to the action, man.
You know why I'm here?
Around here, GHH, man, we definitely are fans of other content creators, and one of them being I Am Athlete, and they had brother Dez on there, and they're doing great work.
Facts.
And when Dez was on there, Dez spoke on Colin Kaepernick, basically, the movement, and he shared what I felt like was a respectful critique of the movement. And, I went back, I watched it. I even took the clip of just what he said, sent that, and I didn't see what warranted the backlash that he got. And obviously we got on the Facebook. You saw it from a different angle.
For sure. So yeah, first of all, man, I want to say, man, I love you, man. I love what y'all been building here. I'm a personal fan.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a watcher. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say that first off, man. And as far as it relates to Dez, I don't think Dez was being disrespectful to Kaepernick at all. And I don't think he was intentionally trying to be disrespectful to Kaepernick. But I think that, in my opinion, he's, like a lot of people, he doesn't really understand what the movement is. I think that his critique on Kaepernick was fair. It's fair, you know what I'm saying? Anytime any of us are out there and call ourselves representative of the community, you're open to critique and open to criticism. But one of the main problems that I had with what he said was, you had the opportunity to do something, and why didn't you do more?
Okay. Right? So, all right. So 2 things. One, which a lot of people, this isn't necessarily what you said, but a lot of people were saying, why is Dez speaking out on this, and why do we have to have all of our problems discussed publicly? And that was one issue about it that I really kind of threw me back, and that was what some of the other people were having dialogue about. So I was like, okay, so you're not allowed to critique what you don't necessarily understand. That part kind of rubbed me a little bit wrong with some of the response that he got. But specifically to your point, I think what he was saying was that there wasn't a clear call to action, and if I stopped 10 people walking down the street today and I said, name something that the Black Panthers did, a program, something, I believe 7 people can name, they had a breakfast program.
Right, for sure.
I think about if we went downtown and stopped 10 black people and said, name a Colin Kaepernick activism program or something that, if you were in need in any particular area of life, you could call or look for to be a resource. I would be surprised if 2 people knew it. So,
know your rights camp, man.
Okay, so know your rights camp. So,
all right. So on your first point, I do have an issue with people publicly critiquing on platforms that aren't ours, right? Now, I'm not going to levy that against Dez because he did it with the black athletes in their show, right? So I don't have any issue with that kind of same way. Like if somebody was to come here and discuss black issues, cool. But unfortunately, sometimes we go running off to those other shows and other platforms and talking about our issues. But yeah, I don't think that that's fair because, I mean, he was talking with all black athletes about black issues. So yeah, I'm not with that. So the thing is, as a person that has done work within the community, continues to do work in the community, I've learned a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Being there, doing it. And the one thing you learn 2 things. First thing you learn is we romanticize those organizations that came before us. That's one thing. And then 2, the other thing is because of our romance of the 60s, the 70s, and that whole era, we don't really understand how organizations and movements really are fruitful. So when it comes down to being a movement, the only thing that people see is you got to be Malcolm X, you got to be Huey P. Newton. And what you learn when you're within the movement is everybody has different roles and everybody has different talents, everybody has different skills. Right.
Okay. Most definitely.
And so we can honestly say, I'm a Kaepernick supporter. I mean, I even went as far to boycott the NFL as a person that loves sports.
Most definitely.
I stopped watching football for years.
I'm a fake fan now. I don't be watching. I'll be watching Sports Center and be having real arguments like I watch.
Yeah, I stopped watching it for years. And if you really study and dig into the Kaepernick situation, like you really know, Kaepernick was not trying to make a point. He wasn't. He was originally just sitting on the sideline, and then people asked him about it. He spoke on it.
I mean, that's kind of moot. I mean, Martin Luther King wasn't trying to lead a bus boycott. I mean,
but see, that's the difference, though. He was.
Martin Luther King didn't sign up to be, that. But Martin Luther King went to a meeting, just like we were all going to a meeting about something going on, and then they say, okay, well, we need a leader. We can't have this pistol packing preacher who might shoot somebody. That's kind of how he stumbled into it. He was an accidental leader, the same way that I
wouldn't say that he was an accidental leader. I mean, because like when you look at like his history and his grandpa and everything like that, like that was always within his blood to get there and to be that. And so I think he was totally different. I don't think that, and also he accepted that challenge and he moved it forward.
Yeah, so they both accepted the call.
So I think that Kaepernick spoke on how he was feeling, right?
Okay.
And I don't. So I was saying the difference was I don't believe that Kaepernick came into this trying to organize people in order to do something. He spoke on an issue. It blew up. He stood on the square.
So all right. So he did speak on the issue and he did stand on his square. Now, if it's about me speaking on the issue and standing on my square, cool. That's what it is. But when it now starts being something about activism and, there's a lot of words being used, social justice, social initiatives. Right. Now, the numbers don't lie. Hey, he got over a couple $1 million in a legal defense fund. He got people donating $400. If I'm in Michigan, if I'm in North Carolina, I get arrested. There's a bail fund. Right. Good.
Right, but see, that's my point though. Some people only have that role within the movement. That's their role. Their role isn't necessarily to organize people. Their role may be to only bring in the finances.
So that's
attention.
That's fair. But then at the same time, when you're leading a social justice movement, and it also correlates in a lot of ways with a marketing campaign, now you got a shoe deal.
For sure.
You're doing that type of thing. And then you don't have an open door for your contemporaries to actually come and contribute resources or be a part of it. You didn't take meetings with retired. I mean, Hall of Fame, players that were
he didn't take Jim Brown. And
so you're denying those. You have players. No, Dez Bryant. And that's another thing people talk about. Well, Dez speaking. This is his coworker. So you have your contemporaries, and the reality of it is that what Dez was saying, and I think Dez probably just didn't necessarily articulate it. It was a heavy episode. He was speaking about some things about his mother's kind of emotional,
sure.
and what I interpreted Dez as meaning is Dez is from the bottom. Dez was really looking for a boots on the ground answer, to something where let's get active, let's get hands on. Whereas it seems like Cap, what the camp that he's done,
it ain't boots on the ground.
That's undeniable. Sure. I mean, the
sure.
contribution is undeniable, but like I told you, a lot of times macro efforts to help never seem to reach micro Negroes, and that's the problem. Where I think not only that, Colin Kaepernick really, and I went back, I tried to look diligently. I've never seen a black activist leader who didn't talk, who either doesn't talk, is not accessible. You have to talk through a girlfriend or a disc jockey to get to him. Right. So that type of thing really makes that does rub you wrong, because to your point, you didn't sign up to be this leader. I'm in the same league as you. You got chosen. Now I can't help. Now Lufkin can't be a part of your thing. Oh, it's only you, your girl, and that is gonna rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that a lot of people, they seem to be mad at Cap off him snubbing them. But see, the thing is, what I'm trying to figure out is all of these people that do have issues with Cap and things like that. It's like, well, where's your program at? You know what I mean? If that's what you believe in, because once again, if you out here in these streets, man, like you know our people, man. Like, I love our people, man. Yeah. I'm RBG till I die. You know what I mean? But dealing with our people is hard. You know what I mean? And I mean, even with Cap stepping out there, I mean, that was so many people. His mom is white. He not really black. He used to be a Kappa. You got to go through all of these things.
The Kappa's a black organization, so I don't
but just as our, black, Greek organization and all this other stuff. And so, like, man, you got to go through all of that. Like, man, me, I'm blackity black.
Yeah.
And I could say one comment and boys would be like, cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just like that. And that's it takes a special type of person, first of all, to deal with our people.
Yeah.
Like, I always compare community organizing and doing that to being a doctor, right?
Okay.
Like, you have to have the mindset that I'm finna walk in this hospital, people gonna be coughing on me, people gonna be throwing up on my shoes or whatever, and I can't be mad at them because I know they sick. You know what I mean? They gonna cuss you out, they gonna say that the scale is wrong, and you gotta deal with it because you know they don't know not what they do. And so everybody isn't necessarily built for that, right? And then I also think back to when all of this kind of popped off. I think Cap was 27, 28. Yeah. I think that he was just kind of coming into knowledge of self.
Yeah.
And so when you're just coming into knowledge of self, you don't know about organizing, right?
True.
And, that's one thing that I always rock with Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture, because he talked about the difference between Malcolm and Martin Luther King, the difference between mobilizing and organizing, right?
Okay.
And he was like, Martin Luther King was a tremendous mobilizer, but he was not a great organizer.
Okay.
He could mobilize people, he could get them together, he could get them to do stuff, but then usually after he left that scene and that situation, there was no programs or anything else like that, versus Malcolm, who was an organizer, and pretty much everywhere that they went, after they left, an organization popped up and continued to work.
All right, now you going ham. We gotta stop it at a couple points, man.
Yeah.
One, you said something that I don't agree with, which is I should say, you said something that I see differently.
Right.
Which is where's Dez's program, or where's that type of thing? It's saying the good word that woman gave her dog. That's what she had. So we can't compare one guy who has $100 million in funding behind him to another guy who say, oh well, what is yours? Because we don't know necessarily what someone is doing, and I can't say that the most popular person doesn't make him. Martin Luther King isn't any greater than
Stokely Carmichael, all them other guys that existed within that time.
He was the one who had the spotlight. Now, when it comes down to him coming into it, Dez said a bar that went by a lot of people's head. He said, "Hey, don't just look like a Panther." And you wearing the all black, you representing something. That's just like, hey, if you I'm not comparing like a Takashi, but if you're identifying something, you're doing these magazine spreads looking like Huey. Well, do some Huey moves, but the whole thing where, hey, writing on Medium. Writing is an important part of raising a conscious awareness, but it just seems like a lot of his solutions, have been, almost like when Jordan gives $20 million to social issues, and I think a lot of guys especially guys who are from it, they're seeing problems. They're seeing problems on from a different perspective, and the reality is, it's not a low blow to say that Cap is not from it. He isn't. Right. He isn't. You were raised in Wisconsin by white people. So yes, a guy who was raised in the slums with a mom who was selling dope, who has seen at the very microcosm social from the bottom. These are the problems that we have, and he sees an activist moment coming, and he sees the solutions all being from almost from like a policy level, or that's where I think the disconnect is.
I mean, but at the same time, once again, I'm not throwing shots at Dez, but I mean, I could argue that he had a bigger platform than Cap, and he could have said something or did something or whatever. But that's neither here nor there. But so like we kind of started with, for me, not necessarily being mad at Dez. Kind of like I started with, I don't think that he studied the movement as much, and because for me, like now being at the age that I am, I mean, not super old, but still being in it long enough that I am, I'm less critical of those that are either younger than me or maybe just getting started out. Because I understand that it takes time in order to truly understand how to fit all these pieces together in order to actually make them fruitful. And I think that part of, also, adding the politics, and, you got Trump involved, and NFL owners and all this other stuff like that. I definitely think that it's difficult because, I get the chance to build with a lot of young cats to this day, and I see them with the, trying to bring back the natural hair, unks, and everything else like that. And me as a person that has done real work within the community, I've learned not to be as critical of them because they're still coming into what they're going to be.
No, most definitely. And you just hit a real point on that, and that's real talk. And again, the receipts that he has are second to none as far as. So I'm not questioning the efforts of what he put into it. And I gotta be fair. This how real 10X is, man. My allegiance is to the truth.
Right, facts.
Look, man, I'm so cold with this dialogue debate thing. I find holes in my own argument. And look, I did go back to the year of the protest, and I read some of the stuff what Dez was talking about. Dez wasn't really with that knee. So it kind of was like, I kind of was like, but now look, no, I'm still throwing the X up. You know what I'm saying? But my X got lowercase real quick. So I was like, damn, I started reading what Dez was saying while it was going down. I was like, so that part did kind of leave me like a little, kind of like, but how you feel about this? How do you feel about the people like the Jamel Hills and the other public figures who just kind of got on Dez like that for just sharing his opinion, and really, which is kind of an oxymoron because you're publicly telling somebody that they should have said it privately.
Right. I mean, I think that's a problem within our society in general now. Like, man, we really want to limit opinions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we say we want people to be real, but when they say something real, it's like, oh, why'd you say that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and once again, for me, the fact that Dez went and sat with Brandon Marshall, Ocho Cinco, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, go with your brothers, discuss the issues. That's cool. Now, like I said, he go to, with Skip and Michael Golick or whoever. I'm like, okay, you tripping, bro. But going to
but how is that tripping though? If he's a public, like, why is it that there's this kind of black millennial rule where, okay, you can't say anything against our, basically like kind of like what Kwame said, the go along gang. It's like if you say anything. Why doesn't Boosie get the same compassionate interview that Lil Nas X gets from, Black Voices CEO or whatever the podcast network is? It just seems like it's a little bit of a lack of, people say they want equality, but it seems like there's a lack of equality for people that are saying some of the things from the lesser popular narrative.
Right.
Even another athlete, while we're on the subject of it, I feel like the way that Kyrie is being viewed is really kind of interesting to me because we have this new thing where we use equality where it's almost like when I'm not on the video game and y'all playing, share the stick. But when I'm on it, you know what I'm saying? No, I won, I stay up.
Right,
it's like, it don't work like that.
Well, man, I think the issue is that a lot of people don't realize like rich and poor is like dealing with your mind, not necessarily with your pockets. And so, and particularly with like the situation with Kyrie Irving and a lot of these athletes, because we look at the amount of money they make, or let's say like with Kyrie, they talking about the amount of money he may lose from not playing or whatever, to a lot of us that have never seen that and may never seen that, we like, why would you give that up for a point? Yeah. But then, you know what I'm saying, when you're rich in the mind, you understand that like nothing is worth compromising what you believe in. You know what I mean? In order just to conform. And so that's for me why I would always support whatever Kyrie is doing. You know what I mean? Because it's the same way like Cat, like he's standing on his square and what he believes in.
Yeah.
And hey, for me as a brother, I can't knock that because a lot of us want to be like, bro, fit in the box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go get that money.
And I think the thing about Kyrie is like, it's other brothers that are pro athletes, Uncle Shannon ain't been nothing but a blessing for the most part, but I'm like, man, you going in on Kyrie, and it's like, hey,
get the vaccine, brother.
It's like, man, to me, it never stops to cross your mind, like, man, this guy is so passionate and so really about what goes on. He's willing to risk 14 minutes. It never crosses your mind like the other side, man, this guy really takes this very serious. Nah, because once the label gets put on, you buy the machine. Okay, he's kind of a free thing. They trying to put Kyrie in the in the Jaden Smith box. Right. No, man, why? No, because we got this real strange thing brewing. In Black American media where it's like, okay, these types of people get to have a fair listen. But if you're saying anything outside of the dominant narrative, which is now vaccine, which, side note, if the vaccine works and every single person on the floor has the vaccine, wouldn't one person not having the vaccine not be a risk?
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. Right. I'm just some of the things going on with it. I think like, are we gonna really give athletes and give people on both sides a fair listen, or is it gonna be, okay, he's cool, anybody against him is a hater, and that type of thing. And that's the part I don't really.
Well, man, I love, a lot of people, what I'm saying, that's doing their thing, and I could never knock anybody from doing their thing. But the reality is, man, a lot of people that you would see on your TV aren't free like you are to not have any narratives or anything like that to reinforce. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those people, they work for some company that for one reason or another, they have to play within this box. Because, I even think it's more powerful to not talk about it.
Yeah,
You
and
know what I mean? Like, it's like, we're not discussing that today.
I made it clear season one, like, hey, Nike drop us that bag. Nike drop that $5 million bag and say 10X. Don't you be talking about China? 10X ain't gonna talk about China. So I'm not mad at them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, but just but at the same time, it's just kind of like, when I see the guys who are getting, kind of called out, it's like, I'm just kind of like, damn,
Man, so let me ask you: do you think he should get the shot?
I feel like. Let me say this. Don't put this on the EQ. Don't put this on the Sav. Don't put this on the Fred. In my personal research, I have really become a lot closer to feeling like as if I identify more with the idea of being a descendant of an indigenous people, being a Native American. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
yeah, that'd be another show. We got to break that down, man.
So,
break that down.
To me, I feel like Kyrie is making a very personal decision about his body for whatever reason that he's making, and I think like I could never tell somebody get it because I mean it's his decision. Me personally, I feel like this, Jesus paid taxes. At the end of the day, I didn't necessarily want to engage in none of that because this is my general belief. I don't vibrate on the same wavelength as COVID, so it don't matter. COVID can be all around me. I don't put out that signal. I'm on a different frequency. If COVID on 102.1 and I'm on 97.9, COVID cool. But social things, wanting to visit family, wanting to do this. I got a cousin who's getting married. That was the only thing that made me. Now, I'm not gonna say made me, but the only thing that led me to going ahead and deciding, okay, but I don't. How are we gonna tell people to do something that we don't have proof actually works?
Right, for sure.
Like that's the thing about it.
Yeah, that's a big problem and a big issue. I mean, for me, I think with Kyrie, it's really about does he think they can win the championship this year? Because I mean, for me, I mean, I haven't just really talked about vaccinations and everything like that because I believe everybody had their own choice or whatever. But I haven't got it. But I did say that, I mean, if I want to do international travel, I got to get it.
Yeah, they basically gonna punk you into getting it.
Yeah, like I got to get it. Like ain't no ways around it. Like no matter how I feel about it, if I want to go to Amsterdam or wherever, I need to go and get it. And so I mean, I think for Kyrie, just in my opinion, it's about, well, one, I mean, how serious is he about really still continuing to play? But then also, does he think that they have a legitimate shot? And does he think that him being there, because, at this point, I don't think it's necessarily just about the vaccine, but then more so about the games that he missed and can they still, stay in the race without him? Yeah. And then also, what that would mean when it gets down to playoff time and everything else like that. Would he be able to be available at those home games? Because they're putting in these rules intentionally.
Yeah, I think they went about it. I think the NFL, they did a better job of selling it to their players this year. The NBA has always been about player empowerment, and versus the NFL kind of made it about a preparation and a responsibility to your teammate. And I think that's a sell, especially us naturally as being a community type of people, maybe kind of more likely to buy into. Plus, that NFL money is not like that NBA money.
Right. Nah, that's right.
You making 600,000, 380 after taxes, and you got 2 baby mom. Hey, you need that game check. You know what I'm saying?
4 baby mom.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different for that situation. But let me ask you this, man. Before we wrap up, man, like now you see this movement where you have the I Am Athlete. You have, KD has his own production company. God bless Kobe Bean, because I just love what he was doing with content. But who are some more athletes that you want to hear want to hear their voice and opinions on things, whether it's socially, probably preferably in that space, but
right. Well, me, I could say the old Gold James, with old Gold James on there. But
I need some new material.
Yeah, but I mean, the reality is, man. Here's the other part. To just kind of do a full circle on what Dez was talking about. You know, as much as we talk about those people that came before us, we don't either study them or study everything that they said and did.
Yeah.
You know, one of the key things that Malcolm X always talked about was the fact of that with the black community, unlike any other community, why do our leaders have to be entertainers, athletes, things of that nature?
Man,
right?
yeah.
And for me, I think that it is good because, you know, these athletes, rappers, whatever, they do have influence over people and people do listen. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think that we can't put too much stock or faith in any of these people to be true leaders to our people. And so that's the other reason why, even though I'm a full-time Cap supporter, why I never put that jacket on him. Because he's an entertainer, man. Like he, and you know, when you look at it, into also, once again, he started this thing in his late 20s, early 30s. It takes time to mature.
No, that's
so
real.
like ain't no telling where he's going to be at 40. You know, it's the same thing like Jim Brown. Like, I mean, Jim Brown always did his thing, but like he became more and more legendary, you know what I'm saying, as he got older and he got more knowledge of self. Because, you know, that's a young mind, you know what I'm saying, like either not wanting to collaborate or anything else like that. So, I mean, I do think that those things will change about him. But at the end of the day, I think that everybody out there has to be advocates for the movement. Like you can't look to anybody in order to do anything for our people.
Hey, if everybody does a little, nobody will have to do a lot.
And that's that's kind of what I started with. Being in the movement, unfortunately, I see infighting because everybody's like fighting over what's the main thing that we should be focused on. But it's like everybody should focus on what they feel is important. Some people feel it's education. Some people feel it's economics. Some people feel it's health. Some people feel, you know, it's a family structure. And so I'm like, instead of saying or battling with each other on what should we be focused on, like it's like a finger. I mean, it's like a hand. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look at your hand, like every finger is different.
Yeah.
Like no finger does the same thing. But like you ball them up, you got a fist.
No, I feel that. I think like now, as I think we are now about to come out of our infancy, which was, hey, you know, Up in Smoke, Matt Barnes and Steven Jack, they played in the league and to talk about basketball. I think I'd like to see the athletes start niching down. Like, what about basketball do you want to talk about? Like, I think it was travesty that it took this long to get the full story of the Malice in the Palace, you know, and what happened with Jermaine O'Neal's career. Like, you know, so I hope that as more athletes are building these production companies, that, you know, they're able to really capture some stories from the essence of it. And, you know, right now, hey, man, I'm trying to pitch D. Ewing. Yeah, come on, you know, come on down to Podden, man. You know,
hey, come through, man. Come through, man. We here. We here.
You want to podcast network where you ain't in all in the video. You know what I'm saying?
Dancing.
You know, but I think like, you know, I think you have another thing I feel like is I don't want the athlete media content movement to always be the guy who averages the most points. It might be a ninth man who has a brilliant mind who really should be in front of the camera. It shouldn't be like just because it's Steph.
Brother Kwame.
You know, so Kwame wasn't no ninth man either. We're going to put some respect on there. You know, Kwame on the
hey, look. I don't want no smoke with Kwame, man. Hey, I love you, brother.
Yeah, man. We respect Kwame. We throw the X up. We support I Am Athlete, and we love Champ around here.
Peace.
You know, Champ is hot boxing. You know.
But yeah, man, you're right, man. It's really, at the end of the day, it's about Coogee Chagalia, us being self-defining, self-determining, and enforcing our own narratives and defining ourselves. And that's the only way that our true stories, issues, things like that are going to be able to come to light and be able to put within their proper context. And so, you know, even though, you know, I was critical of what Dez had to say, once again, like I said, I still appreciate the fact that he did go to a black podcast with brothers in order to discuss an issue or how he felt. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Even the fact of, I think that, you know what I'm saying, even though I said that, he may have a little bit of immaturity as far as understanding the movement, I still think that the brother still has some wisdom because he said that was something that he wanted to say. And I appreciate that he held it until he was able to be in the space within his brothers to where, you know what I'm saying, he can properly say it and people would understand it. So I got to give him respect for that.
Most definitely. And in the words of the great Tupac Shakur, you know, how can the devil take a brother if he's close to me? A lot of what he was alluding to, too, was not just about the Dez thing, about wanting players to be closer together because, you know, it's just such a hyper-competitive culture a lot of times. And he felt like, man, maybe some of these guys could have been saved had they had a brother next to him. And he has some initiatives that he's working on, some things that, you know, he's structured even while he's playing creatively deal-wise, where he wants players to be able to leverage their brand more. So
there you go.
You know, I think overall, man, you know, we all, hey, like they say on Clubhouse, sometimes you just gotta let a brother land. You know what I'm saying? We let him land.
I don't know. I got Android, so you know.
Oh no, I mean, you know, Droid could be on the Clubhouse.
Yeah, they just let us on, man.
Hey, and sometimes this season we're gonna have that GHH Clubhouse popping too, man. But, hey, man, appreciate you, man. One love as always, man.
Peace, God. Peace.
All right.
If you're watching this on YouTube, man, hey, y'all, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. This is Gentleman's History Hour.